Hi, everybody. We're just waiting for some other attendees to join, so just sit tight and we'll start the webinar in a couple of minutes. Sorry for a bit of a delay. We'll be starting in about 30 seconds. There's still quite a few people coming onto the webinar. Okay, I think we'll get started. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Welcome to SAM's second webinar of 2025. Thank you for joining. I'm David Weber, and I'm a member of the SAM's Board of Directors, and I'm delighted to serve as the moderator for this webinar today. Before we get started with the main event, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about SAMS, as well as a bit about some exciting SAMS events that are upcoming. Next slide, please. SAMS, which stands for Sales and Marketing Professionals in Science, is an all-volunteer, 13-year-old organization. We now have close to 5,000 members, and our main purpose is to help sales and marketing professionals network, learn about best practices from their colleagues and from industry experts, and to assist our members in their professional growth and career advancement. I would encourage you to have your friends and colleagues join SAMS. It's easy to join, and it happens to be free. So you can join at sams.org. Next slide, please. I'd also like to highlight two upcoming SAMS events. One is the 4th annual SAMS Awards. The SAMS Awards celebrate excellence in sales and marketing within the life sciences and applied research. This prestigious program recognizes individuals, teams, and organizations whose innovative work and exceptional achievements drive our industry forward. From groundbreaking campaigns to transformative strategies, the SAMS Awards spotlight the best and brightest minds and set the standards for excellence in sales and marketing within our industry. Winners are selected by a distinguished panel of industry leaders, and the winners will be honored at a special ceremony, live ceremony, that will take place on April 29th in Chicago during the AACR meeting, the American Association of Cancer Research, one of the largest trade shows and scientific symposium in our industry. So please join us in celebrating people, ideas, and innovations that inspire excellence. You can nominate a person. You can even nominate yourself. You can nominate a company. You can nominate a campaign. In all, there are 8 different categories, and nominations are open until March 14th. Next slide, please. In addition to our annual awards, SAMS hosts 2 conferences, live conferences, each year, one in North America and one in Europe. We recently held the North American Conference in San Francisco in December, and I'm pleased to announce that our European conference is upcoming and will take place in Cambridge, UK, on April 3rd. We have a really exciting array of speakers and panelists lined up for the event, with our keynote being Emma White, VP of Marketing for Oxford Nanopore Technologies. The conference will focus on customer engagement and will offer insights to foster deeper customer connections, enabling your organization to stand out in today's competitive landscape. We look forward to seeing you in Cambridge. Next slide, please. I'd now like to introduce our speaker for this webinar, Dr. Mary Canady, who's the founder and president of Biotech Networks, a leading resource for more than 150,000 scientists to connect, learn, and grow. So there's a lot of synergies between Biotech Networks and SAMPS. Mary has worked with more than 250 life science brands since the early 2000s, empowering marketing and business development teams to reach their objectives. In 2024, Mary joined the global marketing agency Up There and Everywhere as a brand strategist, where she will complement her work at Biotech Networks to fuel growth in the industry. As I'm sure most of you know, several factors have led to difficulties for life science sales and marketing teams to plan their strategies and tactics for 2025. Social media applications have shown incredible unpredictability in the past few years, with platforms changing, becoming unpopular, or even having threats to their viability. Digital and content marketing have been disrupted by AI technologies, which present both opportunities and challenges. And life scientists are still not attending events at pre-pandemic levels. Biotech Networks and Up There and Everywhere ran a survey recently of life scientists and marketers near the end of 2024, asking questions aimed at helping businesses develop successful demand and lead generation strategies for 2025. That's what Mary will present today. She'll present those survey results, as well as suggest ways to proactively plan for any further online and event uncertainty in the life science industry. We're going to take questions and hopefully provide answers. So please use the Q&A feature of Zoom, which is located at the bottom of your Zoom screen, if you care to pose a question. My colleague and fellow board member, Adam, will help monitor your questions. We'll try to get to all of them, but if not, we'll come back to you offline. Please note that this webinar is being recorded, and the recording details will be shared with you through email after the webinar, so that you can re-listen to the webinar or share the webinar with your friends and colleagues. So Mary, thanks for being here. We really look forward to hearing your thoughts and insights. I'll turn the program over to you.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Adam, as well. Keeping things running well, and again, we are very open to questions. I'm open to being interrupted at any time. We want to make this as interactive as possible. And David gave a great introduction, so I won't belabor this slide. And if those of you who are at the SAMPS meeting in 2024, parts of this presentation will look very familiar to you, but I have added quite a bit of information, especially with regards to insights and what's been going on. We got a few things going on in the U.S. right now. You may have gleaned that, but we have high hopes for the future. So I'll just talk a little bit about Biotech Networks, go through the survey, the demographics, the survey results. We did a survey for marketers and scientists, and then insights. And then I just have one slide talking about a little plug for Up There Everywhere in Biotech Networks. All right, so Biotech Networks was founded by me in California in 2008. And most of the time I've been running it, I've had a full-time job doing life science marketing, or been in an agency or led an agency. And in 2019, I decided to, start branching out. And so we are now in 12 hubs across the US. We will expand to Europe soon, I hope. And I know this is a really busy slide, but just take from it that in all 12 of these hubs, we have a following, we have impressions to life scientists. We send 2.5 million emails a year, and a majority of those are through companies that would like us to promote their products and services. So we see a lot of things on both sides, both from the marketers and the scientists, and this survey is the embodiment of that. So just diving into the survey demographics, again, this was done late last year. So what we did is we spread the word through Biotech Networks as well as Up There Everywhere, and we required an institutional email address. So this kind of, it's good and bad. The numbers here, the number of respondents is not super high, But, you know, again, we know that, you know, I actually went through every single one of them and know that all of the answers are from valid scientists or marketers. So the geographies are 50 or a little bit more percent California, just because that's where Biotech Network started. But again, we did hear from people all over the US. Institution size, for marketers, it was a bit smaller. You know, there are a lot of service organizations out there now. And then scientists, mid-level organization size. For institution type, for the scientists, 20% academic, 80% industry. For the products managed, again, a lot of service companies, especially in California. So those are the top. And then job titles down here, again, only 33% are strictly marketing, but we know that other people in the organization, the C-level, the sales, and the consultants know what's going on. So I don't think they would have taken the full survey if they didn't have knowledge of what was going on. And again, I did look through every response. And so let's dive into the results of the marketer survey. Now, I may go through some of these fast, but remember, or maybe I haven't mentioned, in the last slide, I'll be showing you where you can download this full PDF. And then again, as David mentioned, you'll be able to view the video of it as well. So don't feel like you have to furiously take notes. So diving into the marketer survey, the 2025 objectives. So in each table here of the results, the first column will be the question that we asked at a very high level. The second column will be the #1 result, and the third column will be the #2 results. So for strategic objectives, #1 is lead generation, perhaps not surprisingly, and #2 is closing sales. And as I mentioned, there are sales folks that took this survey as well. Top tactics, conference exhibition, #1, #2, new content or updating content. So for the types of content planned, social media is #1, which kind of surprised us because we've seen a lot of companies, for example, stopping their Twitter or X feeds. And so this was interesting to us, and we'll dive into that more. For the second type of content planned, we had a tie between videos and brochures and flyers. So we also asked, what type of content would you like to create, but you don't have enough time? So #1 was podcasts, which for me was quite interesting. And we saw in 2024 that podcasters have a lot of influence, and we hear more and more about them influencing in a lot of different areas. For the second type of content that marketers don't have enough time for, conference presentations. Usually that entails a lot of working with R&D, and of course is very important because of the emphasis on events. And then also ebooks, which are also usually fairly labor intensive. So then getting into digital marketing in 2024 and 2025. And again, I'm probably showing my age because almost all marketing is digital marketing now. So we asked about 2024 best return on investment, or ROI. And it's a tie between first party newsletters or announcements. So those are two different types of emails. And again, those are #1. #2 best ROI 2024 is SEO, or search engine optimization, which is always very important. And then 2024, what's the most challenging? #1, lack of resources. And you know, we've all felt that pain, and there's also so many things to choose from. That was #2 as far as most challenging. And then we asked about your 2025 top tactics planned. And so we had a 3-way tie, SEO, webinars, and announcement emails. And then for #2, we had a tie between first party newsletters and search engine marketing, or SEM. And then we asked a lot of satisfaction questions, which are also called Likert ads, or Likert questions. And we found out that marketers are mostly satisfied with 2024 email marketing, video and webinars, and marketers are neutral on 2024 SEO performance. And I have a question here. Are LinkedIn posts and ads considered social media content? Yes, I would put the LinkedIn ads in the SEM category. So. All right, so social media 2024 usage, again, for marketers. And so we asked which website-based social media, and not surprisingly, number one was LinkedIn. Facebook was a distant second at 19%. For text-based social media, interestingly enough, the top result was it's not applicable. So life science marketers, at least in 2024, weren't using text-based. So this includes Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, and Mastodon. And so number two is Twitter or X. And Biotech Networks actually remains on Twitter and X just because we have a lot of followers and so many accounts. And we'll see how what happens in over the next few years, whether we stay on there. For image and video, marketers, not surprisingly, use YouTube the most and Instagram second. So TikTok, I think, is a little bit too avant-garde for life science marketers, but you can certainly comment if your company is getting into that. So then we asked about organic best ROI. And again, I would consider all LinkedIn posts as just simply social media if you're not paying to boost it. And so number one was LinkedIn, and number two is not applicable. And we'll talk a little bit later about a lot of life science companies are just all in on LinkedIn, and there's dangers in that. To only be using one type of social media. And then paid best ROI, a lot of folks saying they aren't using paid or search engine marketing or paid ads. And then of course, Google Ads is number two. And I would, if you're not using Google Ads, you should be. So it's something that's very easy to set up and very cost effective. So again, marketers are saying that their social media usage has not changed due to the shifting landscape. And for me, I see many, I go to Twitter accounts that have been deactivated, back in 2020. So I'm surprised that they'll say it has not changed. Maybe they, abandoned things like Twitter, years ago, and they're considering just over the past years. And then also, we're always looking for interactions between marketers and scientists, and marketers are looking for social media channels to connect with scientists, but not super strongly. All right, so for the scientist survey, again, we ran 2 surveys. We asked, where do scientists get their information and what social media are they using? And we specifically said, make sure that you're talking about work. And so for website-based social media, LinkedIn, number one, not surprisingly. Biotech Networks is number 2. And I have to, of course, point out the bias in this sample that we sent this to Biotech Networks subscribers. For text-based social media, again, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, Mastodon, a majority say that they're not using text-based social media for work, and Twitter is at 31%. For image and video social media, again, YouTube, number 1, not surprising, and there isn't a second that's non-applicable. And then news sources, Biotech Networks, and then Fierce Biotech, Pharma, and LinkedIn. And we'll I'll show you the raw data in a couple slides. And then where do they get their product information? Conferences, number 1, webinars, number 2, which is, of course, all great news for life science marketers. And again, they say this was, at the end of 2024, scientists say their usage of social media will remain roughly the same in 2025, and they would also welcome more interaction with companies. And we also did ask about artificial intelligence, specifically whether or not they ask applications like ChatGPT to tell them about products, and they said no at this point. So Someone said, why do you feel marketers should be using Google Ads? They can be relatively inexpensive. You can use any budget that you want to use, and set that. I have a client that recently started doing targeted ads, which very, very cost effective. So if someone visits your website and then you're seeing their ad, I mean, we've all had that happen to us. But yeah, very cost effective. Another thing is, a lot of times when you're doing a Google search now, the Google ads that you see look very much like Google search results. So, it might not be great for the consumer, but it's great for advertisers. Okay, someone said, would suggest including WeChat in future years on the marketing survey. That sounds good. Our sales team outside the US is seeing advantages in using this in APAC. So great feedback. Do you have any intelligence on the number of scientists who use LinkedIn for at least 20 minutes every week? That's the number that no one seems to have studied. We don't have that, but yeah, that's something we could do in a future survey. So thank you so much for all the great questions and comments. So just as I mentioned, I was going to dive down into a few of the results. Again, this is for scientists. What websites are they using? LinkedIn, Biotech Networks, ResearchGate. So I will tell you right now, ResearchGate has a media kit, and you can start advertising there. And it's also great because you're supporting an application that scientists use and supports research. So I won't read all of these, but just gives you a feeling for what they're using. And then news sources, again, this print might be sort of small, but top sources for life science news, again, Fierce Biotech and Pharma, Biospace, Genetic Engineering News is one of my favorites because they have great application notes. So, and then also, do you follow any blogs or self-published life science resources? So LinkedIn content newsletters, independent blogs. In the pipeline is a blog by a man named Derek Lowe, who covers drug discovery. And we'll be talking about him and other influence shortly. So what do you mean by scientists want more interaction with companies? My understanding from our reps, their time in the lab is limited post-pandemic. So we specifically asked online. So maybe I'm, one of these people, when all you have a hammer, everything you see is a nail. But I just see it in my events that, so I would say events outside of work and online, I think, are a great opportunity. And I do get this questioner's point that, with hybrid work schedules and, more people not being in the office, I know it is hard to get to your customers. So, I think the challenge is to find something that they're interested in. So in Seattle, we're doing an event in a few weeks where we're giving a science communication workshop. So we know that that's something scientists really want, is to learn how to write better. So yeah, so they don't specifically want sales calls from you, but they want you to kind of think outside the box and help them out, because they're all looking to advance their career. And I know that Thermo Fisher has a newsletter series called Beyond the Bench, or it's either Beyond or Behind the Bench, but they send out stories about different types of jobs, and just thinking outside of specifically your product area. All right, so speaking of that, scientists events, we asked them in 2025, what types of events do you plan attending? And number one was local organizations such as Women in Bio, American Chemical Society, Biotech Networks, of course. So that was number one, because they don't have to travel. And then number two, life science conferences, and then very interestingly, company lunch and learns. So this is very good news for life science marketers. Again, I've seen a lot of a number of lunch and learns trying to put that networking component in, and I think that's very useful. for virtual, plan to attend. So they're interested in life science company webinars, which is also great news. And then also virtual scientific conferences, because a lot of them are offering virtual options now. So we'd ask them kind of also out of the box, what are you interested in virtually, career development, and also speed networking, which is something that Biotech Networks has done. So scientists are now saying that they attend as many in-person events as before the pandemic, and also that working remotely has not affected their attendance. And I would say that's something we see with Biotech Networks events. But I was just on the East Coast doing an event in Boston and DC, and it's just been a slow rise. We've just slowly seen people go back to their pre-pandemic levels. And again, they want more networking opportunities. Checking the time. All right, so jumping to the insight. So we went through kind of sort of a deep dive on the marketer survey and the scientist survey, and here are the insights. So, and I'll try not to be redundant because I know I did cover some. So marketers and scientists are prioritizing in-person events and conferences, and they don't have as much of an event, a lesser interest in virtual events. I do think webinars are still gonna always be, you know, a great play, because it gives them product information, which we've seen that they want to get product information from webinars, and they're easy to attend. And then also there's the opportunity and desire for marketers to reach scientists via podcasting. So I'm going to ask a question, or what AI transforming research with AI transforming resource across industries, why do you think many scientists still rely on traditional methods for product searches instead of leveraging AI-driven solutions? Is it a matter of trust, accuracy, or something else? I would say, I don't know is the first answer, but it takes more time. So I'm sure many of you know that even if you do just a garden variety Google search now, they're giving you AI results. So it's possible scientists aren't thinking about that. You know, I see these AI results all the time, and sometimes I click on them. So that may be an issue that, you know, they don't have time to open up ChatGPT and construct a prompt. You asked if it was data accuracy. I actually was asking ChatGPT something about the current US presidential administration, because I was in DC, I did a little protesting, and they actually did not know that our current president was the president. And so that was kind of a nice, it was a nice bubble to be in, but the information from ChatGPT, some of it comes from 2021, so it's not as current. So that would be another thing that I would say, is that the information on ChatGPT wouldn't give you, you know, the latest, at least for now. All right. So again, going back to the presentation, insights in digital marketing and social media. So marketers are planning to use social media campaigns, but most use just a few LinkedIn products almost exclusively, and that's shown on the next slide. So we asked in the survey, which of LinkedIn's products do you use? And you can see this is just part of the products that LinkedIn offers for either for free, the groups are free, the newsletters are free, the showcase pages are free, or paid. And you can see that not many are using everything that LinkedIn has to offer. So I would highly suggest, I use LinkedIn ads for almost every event that I run. And I can tell you probably a third to a half of the people that come to my event are coming through these LinkedIn ads. They're fantastic. LinkedIn Navigator for salespeople as well as for marketers. So, you know, I just think, you know, we need to look at all, you know, LinkedIn wants your money and they're good at what they do. They also have marketing consultants that will help you. I've never used them, but I've got some persistent ones that have tried to get me to work with them, and they seem to know what they're talking about. All right, so I thought, okay. With regards to podcasting, is there a space where AI could help with this, leveraging Notebook LM to create application-specific podcasts based on well-sourced literature? I don't know, but that sounds very interesting. Sounds like we've got a AI podcasting business starting here in the questions, but no, that sounds great. It might be a thinly veiled product placement, but that's okay. We're all marketers here, so that's okay with us.
I might add, if podcasting is of interest, you might want to talk with Chris Connor of Life Science Marketing Radio, who really has pioneered podcasting in the life science community. So look him up. Chris Connor's his name.
Yes, thank you so much. I had that written in my notes, but I hadn't gotten to that. Yeah, Chris Connor's a great guy, and he not only does his own podcast, but he helps companies start and promote and get podcast following. So big fan of his. All right, so for insights from a scientist focus, I won't belabor the point, but marketers are missing opportunities to reach scientists, and we went through that data, so I won't go into that in more details. We've talked about artificial intelligence. It's not being used heavily, at least not right now. And then scientists are still using social media, and at the time of this survey, 70% said they weren't currently using text-based social media. So fast forward to a couple months later. So this is a article in Science in November of 2024, and scientists are migrating to Blue Sky. And so one of my favorite life science influencers, David Schiffman, he's a shark advocate. He gave me this nice quote that he's finding a lot of community in Blue Sky. So I actually talked to someone at the SAMPS conference who said, why are scientists disliking our least favorite billionaire's takeover of X or Twitter? And I said, you know, scientists can spot a phony. And I think we've, you know, with all of the things that are happening in the US, I think I was kind of vindicated in saying that scientists are kind of fleeing because they don't like the leadership of X. So Blue Sky actually came from Twitter and X in 2019. And again, the unpopularity of the leader of X is being increased because of the government takeover and firings. And so you can see these numbers here. Before the election, Blue Sky was at 12 million, and now it's tripled to 31 million. But also realize that X has many more users. They're still at about 600 million. And one of the things that scientists are saying now on Blue Sky is that it's really nice because there's nobody advertising. So you know, you need to be careful. All right, so no more, I haven't seen any more questions. So then going to social and digital recommendations. So again, advertise in the top news and product that scientists have said that they're using. So that should be, you know, kind of a no-brainer. And then also create and repurpose more quote unquote owned content. So I've had many times in my marketing career where I built up a following. As I mentioned, we have a lot of followers on X, and I'm not sure whether to abandon it, but you want to make sure that you own all of your content. So we may wake up tomorrow and you know, YouTube may be owned by, you know, our least favorite billionaire. And you want to make sure you have all those videos on your own website, you know, archived, and make sure that you own the content. And then, you know, there's lots of things you can create: webinars, videos, podcasts, and written content. And then you can cross-post, follow, and engage on different apps. So right now, I started on Mastodon. Mastodon isn't really gaining traction right now. Of course, I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Threads, mostly personally, but I'm just kind of feeling things out. But applications like Buffer make it really easy for you to cross-post on all of them. And then find and engage influencers. So as Kendrick Lamar says, you can't fake influence. And a lot of these influencers, people will follow them no matter where they go. And again, I can't remember if I said, but I went on ChatGPT and I said, who are the life science influencers? And I got a really interesting list, you know, Eric Topol, a few bloggers that I know. And there's some biotech CEOs that have, made a real name for themselves. So, it doesn't have to be exactly about your product, but you can get them to, give you props, as they say. So I would highly suggest that. And then always be building your email lists and segmenting them. That's something that you'll own. Of course, you need to stay current with the GDPR and other privacy issues. And then also, as I mentioned, we send 2.5 million emails a year with Biotech Networks, and we help the content creators create better subject lines, and also the actual body of their emails. So when you step away from your social media channel and you're just sending emails, your email is sitting right next to another email that might be from Best Buy, who has a huge budget. So you really want that subject line to stand out. And that's something that, Constant Contact will help you if you're using that to, write a better subject line, do beta, I can't remember what to call it, but when you do an email test, and then it picks the best subject for you. So, leverage that AI, and then think out of the inbox. So think about all the places that you hear ads. So I see YouTube ads all the time. I have yet to see a life science YouTube ad. I see ads on Netflix, Hulu, and PBS that are targeted to me. I think they are, at least, because, it would be bizarre if they weren't. So just think out of the box. And I think a lot of these would be great intern projects. So we're coming up on spring here, and it would be a great thing to learn, what is taking off? Is Blue Sky still going to take off? Is Threads going to take off? So it would be a great project for an intern. All right, so I don't see any more questions, but feel free to ask. And then I want to talk about further social media and artificial intelligence shifts. Like they say, everything is connected. So with this social media instability for life science influencers, I have seen them revert to blogging because they can't own their social media following because it's so unstable. So I've seen some influencers go to Substack. And so, maybe you've seen that as well. But I think there will be, I'm seeing evidence of a blogging revival. And then also you may have heard that artificial intelligence content will be increasing on the web, and it's easier to create posts, just from AI. And this will disrupt SEO. And so there's actually a SAMPS panel a couple of months ago, and I can't remember all the people on the panel, but they were talking about, it will disrupt AI, it will disrupt SEO, and they will also probably use some of your content for their content. So if you can't beat them, join them. You may not want to do a whole post using AI. I wouldn't suggest that. But this last bullet is about creatively leveraging AI. So you can use it for content, topics, and outlines. I actually used it to create these bullets. Of course, I had to edit it. SEO keyword research, marketing analysis. Already talked about email subjects and content, creative imagery. So a colleague of mine has been working with Shutterstock and found out that they can actually take their inventory and use AI and create new imagery. I've also used it for product names for my business. So I'm coming out with a training series, and I haven't launched the name yet, but it definitely came up with some names that I had not thought of before. So it's very powerful. In your experience, this is a question, in your experience, what kind of email send frequency have you seen scientists are most receptive to? What just pops in my head is weekly. We send emails every week, and we've actually done, since we send so many emails, Wednesday is definitely the best day. And yeah, so weekly and Wednesday. Of course, maybe people start getting tired of it, but now that those are the highest email open rates for us. All right, so recommendations for events based on these survey results as well as experience at Biotech Networks and Up There Everywhere. So webinars, again, they're straightforward, easy. So I would highly suggest to continue to do webinars. And also we found that scientists like to get product information from webinars. Conferences, increased participation and follow-up and nurturing leads. I'd also like to say that I went to a conference about 2 months ago, and I was happy that a lot of the booths were saving on paper, but quite frankly, I walked away from a lot of booths kind of feeling disappointed because maybe it's my age, but I think conference organizers need to work on better paperless booth engagement, because what would happen is I would go there, they wouldn't have someone at the booth who knew what product I was talking about. They didn't have anything to hand me so that I could look at it later. So I think we've kind of emerged from COVID with, a lot of things have changed, but we haven't really made the right changes. I'm all for saving the planet and not giving out lots of flyers. But if you go to a conference and you don't make your numbers because you didn't educate the people at the conference, then it doesn't do any good. And then also I'm a big fan of self-hosted and partnered events. So we do events every month all across the country, and branch out and try new formats. The scientists are looking for networking, and then also support local organizations. Especially, I'm always looking to support organizations that help historically excluded scientists. So then I want to, this is my penultimate slide about what's going on in the US. It's a tough time for scientists. It's hard for me to talk about. But so budgets are going to be affected. I've already talked to people who said, government contracts, it's tough out there. So, one thing you might want to do is shift towards cost saving messaging. That might be really important for people right now. Provide supportive events and messaging. If there's any way that you can get out there and help out underemployed or unemployed scientists. So they might not be your customer tomorrow, but next month, you're going to be the first person that they come to. And then also, you may have heard that this Stand Up for Science is doing rallies across the country. I know they're in Boston, I think Sacramento, Seattle. So, these are, of course, peaceful protests. And back in 2017 and 18, I actually ran events in San Diego. And you may see it as activism. You may see it in a different light than I do, but if we don't do something, the funding is going to be very adversely affected. And again, hoping for the best. So again, thank you so much to SAMS for inviting me to give this webinar, and to David and Adam. And Up There Everywhere is a full service marketing agency, and I work there part-time as well as doing Biotech Networks. And we worked on the survey, and I wanted to thank Siobhan Pickett and Kim Caldwell and others on the team for helping me. And we'll be working more in 2025. We have a lot of synergies. So with that, I will open it up to questions, comments.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other questions? Nope. Someone made a comment. This was very helpful. Thanks for sharing your survey and insights. And we do thank you, Mary. Very interesting. And thank you to all of you who joined. I see so many friends and colleagues on the list of participants. So really exciting. We had 189 registrants, and we had about 80 attendees. So that's really an exciting number for us at SAMS. So thank you for joining. Please join us on April 16th for our next webinar, which is entitled How to Craft Bold Narratives That Move Markets. And that'll be delivered by Jen Perkins of CREVI. And registration will be open on the SAMS website shortly. So have a look at that. And with that, I think, do we have any more questions? Let's take a look. No, thanks. Great presentation. That was amazing. Great job, Mary.
Thank you. And can I
with-
just mention that you can download the PDF at biotechnetworks.org/survey.
Yeah, we'll be making all that available as well through Sam. So thank you everybody for joining, and have a great day. Bye now.
Thank you.